before I continue on, I just wanted to quickly comment on the ending of a yearbook very quickly, because there was a bit of something kind of a bit of a discrepancy to me in that ending. It had Grace go on stage during Gravity 5's performance and dance with them, and then be in there, the yearbook picture that was taken of them, and then we have her with Molly and the Perfs picture, and because of the loophole having been discovered by the principal thanks to Nelson, they have to become a club too, and so now anyone can join. So everybody who joined Gravity 5 is now going over to join the Perfs, and they look absolutely miserable with everybody in that photo. It's interesting how they showed it. It seems kind of contradictory for her being in one picture happy and the other miserable. That might be an indication of the fact that being in the Perfs is doing Grace no favors. Just being in the Perfs altogether does you no favors. Does you favors for a time, but then eventually those won't be long-term, long-lasting. Anyways, this one I've been looking forward to for a while, to talking about. And actually, when I first heard about it, I really was looking forward to it. How to Rock High School Sensation, or How to Rock a High School Sensation. I think it's the former, not the latter, but you can call it either one. So I was really looking for an episode where Gravity 5 and the Perfs had to join forces. And this episode's probably better than anything I could have came up with. I mean, granted, there are probably things I wouldn't have done in this episode that they did, but at the same time as that, this was probably the best episode at the time I'd seen. You're going to hear me saying that a lot. Eventually it's going to come to the point where it's going to be a definitive remark. So, the circumstances, they each want to send an audition in to a reality show called High School Sensation for a band that represents a high school. And the winning bands would get a $10,000 prize. However, only both Gravity 5 and the Perfs want to represent Brewster High, and so they're going to have a sing-off in order to decide, but because they're fighting, they end up accidentally destroying the amps unwittingly, unintentionally, and so then March responds by having them join together to submit one audition, and that'll pay for the amplifiers having been wrecked and short-circuited out. And at the same time as that, because there's so much equipment on the stage collapses right underneath them, and they have to use the money to pay for the stage too. That was freaking hilarious. Just the comedic timing with him standing on top of the stage, and BAM! It just all comes straight down, including him. I feel like I think it would have been a lot funnier if maybe like they had all 7 of the main characters, the entire gang, on the stage when it collapsed, and then they all like fall on top of each other. That would have been a lot more funny, but still, just March by himself. Kirk Fox, he obviously had a lot of fun playing that role. And so the 7 are obviously reluctant to join forces with each other, but then Casey helps to assign, and there's a bit as to why like Casey has to be the one to be the leader, although like Molly puts in a negative remark about it, and then there's a point that's made about it. So she assigns each of them jobs in order to be able to make it work. And surprisingly enough, once they finished the audition, it really did work. The only problem was Kevin, who was supposed to send attach to an email and send it in, accidentally closed his computer before it had completely sent. You gotta wait for the whoosh. That's that little bit that they do. That was a little overplayed, but other than that, it kind of worked. Because, yeah, there's that fact that you have to make sure it's been sent completely before you close down. Otherwise, it won't get sent completely. And that might end up being a big problem. So they start fighting again, but then it's so very brief that you don't dwell on it. And so Kevin, wanting to fix it, goes to the host of the show, the well-known host of the show, who's played by Romeo Miller, Symphony's brother. We all know him long before we knew her. And convinced him to do so if under the condition that he'll play 2-on-2 with him and a rival he constantly plays basketball with. And aside from the fact that the rival looks challenging, as well as that, has to help him win too. And it turns into this real. It actually works better than expected. Turns this really funny bit where Casey and Molly are trash talking the guy, and we get some good insults out in there, I must say. The performance itself at the end, it's a good performance. It's a catchy song, for the most part. My one quibble with that is the fact that Molly and Grace, they don't really do anything in the performance but just dance. And it's more, this is supposed to be Gravity 5 and the Perfs. I don't think dancing actually qualifies as having it. It's a bit of a nitpick, but at the same time, it does kind of matter, the fact that they're not singing background or something in the song, or they're not singing in sequence with Casey, that kind of thing. But like I said, a very minor little quibble I have. Inevitably, they have Romeo perform with Symphonique in the final performance. So I like the interplay between the characters in the episode. The jokes were also really funny. Just the fact that it's had such a more positive kind of tone to it than the other episodes did. There's that constant rivalry between Gravity 5 and the Perfs, and the fact that this actually is showing such a different kind of format and tone than the other ones. It stood out at the time that I saw it because it wasn't submitting to that formula. Also, the Zolly parts. If you saw my spur clip back from it a while back when the night the episode first aired, Unrest and ZV Nation, those Zolly moments. This is a great Zolly episode. I mean, there are those who kind of consider Halloween a great Zolly episode, but this is the real big. This is the one that you really like. Just defines them so well. The fact that they're similar, but at the same time, well, they're on different. And the fact they're similar, despite the fact that they're on different sides, and that's very important. And then also, like I said, all the characters have great dialogue in the episode. Like, after they win, Stevie reminds them at the end, we can't use the money for any of the things we wanted to use it for. We gotta use it to fix the amplifiers and the amps in the stage, just like we said we would. And they're all going, yeah, we do. And then Nelson goes, I hate it when you're the voice of reason. In her response, why wouldn't it be if one of you had to step up once in a while? Just brilliantly represents the character of Stevie. And also Lulu's delivery. Lulu's delivery is never, almost never not perfect. That's the thing. There was something else I wanted to mention, and I don't think it was about this episode, but I may remember at one point or another as we go forward. But it's a strong episode, much stronger than expected, and at this point, once I saw this episode, I was very, very glad I stuck around. I'll see you guys in the next one.